Hello and welcome to the Reykjavík Grapevine Newscast. My name is Valur Grettisson, of course, and I am the editor-in-chief at the Reykjavík Grapevine, a cultural magazine that does a lot of things, including this, of course. We also have a homepage, which is grapevine.is, if you want to see, read more about news in Iceland. First of all, of course, we want to tell you about our shop and our survival kit, because you need something to survive the Iceland airwaves. It's going to start in the beginning of November, first weekend in November, and it's going to be incredible because the festival hasn't been held since COVID, more or less, and there is a lot of anticipation and so on going on, a lot of very good Icelandic acts and so on, and you know how it goes. If you come to Iceland to see Iceland airwaves, and then please, of course, stop by with us. Buy me a beer if you see me, or not. I can buy you a beer just for watching me. And also, you can buy our survival kit, find it in the link down there, and we will also deliver it to your hotel. Arthur, of course, do this. No, perhaps not. But someone from us will do it, and there's a lot of nice things there. Basically, what's the most important? Tea. Really nice tea. I think all English people, they might agree with me. But we're going to go into the news right now. I'm going to show you a little bit around Reykjavík. It's a beautiful day. It's like 0 to 1 degree outside or something like that. But sunny, and the sun is like, this is the last glimpse we're getting of the sun before the big dark, which is more or less in November, then it starts. So, let's go for the news. The biggest story, perhaps, well, we have a few big stories this week. I'm not going to go over all of them. Some of them are a bit complicated, but I want to tell you about this new report that just came out, and it's about COVID and how Iceland, the government, handled the COVID and so on. The pandemic is more or less done. Or is it, right? We can't be sure, but we're very optimistic, of course, that this is it in some ways. In this report, which was a government committee that wrote it and assessed how we did, overall we did well. We actually did more than well, but the rules were often overcomplicated. This is like when the epidemiologist had some suggestions that went to the government and so on, and this procedure was more complicated than this committee would have wanted to see. But one striking thing, perhaps, in all of this is that we lost, all in all, 213 people. Now, you have to keep in mind, I know these numbers are not high, especially compared to your own home country, but we are only 360,000. So this is like 0.058%, 59%, to be absolutely correct, when it comes to our population that we lost from COVID. The Omicron strain was the one that killed most. Around 170 people died just this year in all of the pandemic. This was like a combination of restrictions going down. At the same time, we were having like this variant strain, Omicron, which was said to be milder. And it was milder, but COVID is COVID, and it finds some ways, especially when people are older and so on. So, or you have an underlying diseases and such. So this is a bit striking, also because in the beginning of the pandemic, then our chief epidemiologist, he said that we might lose around 200 people if we would not have done anything. Now, we lost more than 200 people, and we did a lot, and we did it well. So you can just imagine how perhaps many lives were saved. And for example, if you look at the US, I'm not trying to shame anyone here, to keep in mind. It's just for comparison, to compare to anything. then there were just over 1 million that died from COVID, that has died, that we know of. There might be more when historians are going through this later on. But this 1 million is around 0.5% of the, it's 1.9, around the 2. At least I did the numbers, I'm doing this by memory, but percentage-wise, when I calculated this, they were around 0.5, half a percent. That died in the pandemic. Just to put it in this is like in Iceland, if we would have lost 1,500 people, but not around 200 people. So you can see perhaps, first of all, the epidemiologist obviously perhaps did not see how incredibly dangerous the virus was. And on top of everything, this was they did a lot of good things actually. And we were very free in Iceland because of these elements. So we can be pretty glad. I mean, it's bittersweet, isn't it? How we got through this pandemic, and perhaps it's not quite over yet. We are, like us, the healthy people, are perhaps not thinking that much about it. But I bet that there are a lot of people, older people, people with underlying sickness, that are quite stressed about all of this. So, let's not cheer too much when it comes to this, because it's still around. Go to Pollý. And from that to politics. Politics, for example, in Iceland. I often try to explain this we have, for the longest time, we only had 4 parties in Iceland. These parties were the Independence Party, which was always the biggest one. And then, well, that was not a good throw, was it, Pollý? Oh, Polly's a little bit excited. I did take her out last night, but I mean, here, let's just get everything ready here. Because of the cold, you have to have some precaution. Let's do it like this. Hey, Pollý. Yeah, this is not my best throw day, is it? Politics. For the longest time, we had 4 parties in Iceland. These 4 parties were combined by the Independence Party, the Progressive Party, the Social Democrats. At this time, they had a different name, but part of it was a Social Democrat alliance, and then the Left Greens. Now, this is interesting because at this time, for example, the Independence Party was usually when voting, they had around 40+% of votes. They were huge, basically, and they have always been very ruling party in Iceland. It has to be said. There is no other way around it. But since the financial collapsed. In 2008, the party went down from 40%, and now it is in 20 to 24%. At its best, it goes up to 28 to 29%. A huge crash. Now, this is not weird. This is actually what's happening in most countries. People are not that invested in politics anymore. Young people don't vote, simple as that. And there are a lot of looming dangers here. Fake news, people radicalized to the right, to the left, whatever. Don't believe in the system, steal the elections, and so on. It's all of this is happening also in Iceland, just in a much smaller scale, of course. Now, the Independence Party is going to have what do you call it? National conference. God, I even asked Josie about this. Anyways, you know what I'm talking about. So at this conference, then we have the chairman will be up for election, and the chairman right now is Bjarni Benediktsson. He is an old school, family of the Independence Party. And these, if you look at these parties, and if you're Icelander, it's easy to see that these are clans, not really parties. It's a weird one, but it's more primitive if you think about it, and even easier to think about it because, like, when it comes to towns and so on, just thinking clans, not in anything else. So Bjarni Ben is also a financial minister, and he's in a bit of a trouble, a lot of trouble actually. He's not doing so well, and he has actually been nicknamed as the Teflon-skinned politician because he's been through a lot of scandals. He was in the Panama Papers. He wasn't like a huge player there, but he was there. There was an odd scandal. I shouldn't even tell you about this. It was in the news in Iceland, but it's not important. Which is, they call it the ice hot scandal. Then he and his wife were found in a data leak from this site for couples that want to have exchange partners in a sexual way. So no idea, but it was there, and they said this was some joke or something like that. Let's just give him that. It was not a huge thing in Iceland. Now, but he is now perhaps because he's been there since 2009, the only one since after the failing of the banks, which was incredibly big and dramatic. But now it seems like he is actually getting a new opponent, which is Guðlaugur þórðarson. Used to be our foreign minister. He's now environmental minister, and it would be something actually if he would be voted as the man. And he is quite powerful. You might even say that he is not only powerful but very dangerous opponent to a man like Bjarni Ben. So we have to see, of course, if he's going to go through. He hasn't announced that he is running for the chairman, but if he does, this might mean that we are having a bit of a political turmoil on our hands. Not only because they might fight quite hard, but if Guðlaugur Þór wins, well, this could be a very different party, and so on. And when it comes to Icelanders and to these right-wing parties, keep in mind, right-wing in Icelandic is has a lot of socialism in it and so on. And I know, of course, at least for the Americans, when they hear socialism, they literally get white in their face. But it's only because they don't get very good education about what that involves in modern politics, does it? But the thing is, of course, when it comes to these right parties, we are always a bit scared that we will go to the same route as, for example, the US or even the Conservatives in the UK, when it comes to conservatism. For example, when it comes to religion and so on. This is not a reality that we have had in Iceland, mostly because these leaders, for example, Bjarni, have been very progressive in thinking and so on. He's not a bad leader, but I mean, nobody, of course, a lot of people have different opinions about that, but I don't think he's the worst. Of course, I'm a nihilist, I don't care really, may the world burn and so on. But the thing is that he's been there since 2009. So everything has a date when it comes to politics and whatnot. So political turmoil on the menu, I guess. This might be interesting, but then again, Guðlaugur Þór might say that he's not up for this, and that will be it. So the biggest news, though, that perhaps for our international audience is that there's a member of the parliament, Jóhann Páll Jóhannsson. He is in the Social Democratic Alliance. He wanted to get all the communications between it was a written answer about the communication from the Prime Minister, Katrín Jakobsdóttir, when it came to Greta Thunberg and Bjork Guðmundsdóttir, our beloved singer. The reason is because Bjork has claimed in two different interviews that Katrín Jakobsdóttir somehow betrayed her when she did not declare a state of emergency when it comes to global warming. Greta as well as Bjork are trying to get the Nordic prime ministers to do this. And we have to say that they have said that Bjork at least said in Guardian interview that she was in some kind of a negotiation talks with her. Katrín Jakobsdóttir, she's the member of the Left Greens in Iceland, so it's perhaps pretty understandable that she was in talks with her, and she asked her can you do this, because it's a drastic thing to do. There are options that are available after you state when you clear an emergency. Anyways, I'm not sure about the details, but that's how it was. And Bjork said that this was an absolute betrayal. Interestingly enough, she repeated this, Bjork that is, in another interview later on, and Katrín said in an interview with The Guardian that they were just not on the same page here. Simple as that. They were in her mind, they were negotiating about it definitely, and she suggested this, but it was not perhaps it wasn't they decided to go another route. What that route is something let's see what that would be, of course. But it would be interesting to see how these conversations will be and are. But if we get some written answers about it, because it's it's Bjork and it's Greta Thunberg and it's the Prime Minister of Katrín Jakobsdóttir, which has a lot of goodwill actually when it comes to the public. And also Icelanders are many of course are on the fence when it comes to global warming. It's not a simple issue, but it should be in Iceland, but it's not for various reasons. We haven't really scratched the surface there, and perhaps I get Bjartmar, my friend, to talk about that, because it's quite disappointing where we are right now. That said, I don't have more to say, but I will tell you what went through them, between them, Bjork and Katrín Jakobsdóttir. It's definitely interesting if there is something. I have to keep on throwing for Pollý, of course, but this is the Catholic Church here, and I'm gonna explain to you more extra stuff the way back, why Icelanders are not Catholic, by the way. So, remember our shop, remember to like and comment and subscribe if you want. If you have any questions, then just post it there, and we will, if not answer you there, we might even use them later on for Ask Me Anything show or something like that. And so until next time.